When people talk about villains, they often think someone like the Joker, Darth Vader, or maybe even Sauron. But there's one villain most people have never heard of who makes them all look like amateurs. Today, on the Arda Chronicles, we're talking about the greatest embodiment of evil in all of fiction. Why, among every dark figure ever imagined, none stand beside Morgoth Bauglir. Because he wasn't just another villain, he was the blueprint. Every dark lord, every fallen tyrant, every whisper of corruption that came after was his reflection. Evil in most tales is a matter of choice, a fall from grace, a good heart turned bitter by pain or pride. Yet what if there was a being for whom evil was not a corruption, but a birthright? A mind so vast and so twisted that destruction was not a rebellion against light, but its intended end? To understand the nature of pure evil, we must look beyond tyrants and monsters, beyond dark lords and demons, to the first and greatest of all malice in Arda's history, the one who sought not dominion, but unmaking. What defines pure evil? It is not cruelty for pleasure, nor vengeance for a wound suffered. Pure evil does not rise from tragedy. It cannot be reasoned with or redeemed. It destroys not to gain, but because destruction is its only truth. It consumes beauty not from hunger, but from hatred of the beautiful itself. Its shadow is eternal, and its legacy never fades. Morgoth Bauglir was that shadow. Before he was called Morgoth, he was Melkor, mightiest of the Ainur, the first thought of the flame imperishable. From the moment of his making, he burned with a hunger unlike any other. While the other Ainur rejoiced in the music of Eru Ilúvatar, Melkor sought to create melodies of his own. Yet what he made was not harmony, but discord, not invention, but defiance. He did not wish to shape creation alongside his brethren, but to dominate it, to own it, to see all light bend before his will. It is often said that Morgoth fell, as Lucifer did, from pride. But that is only part of the truth. Pride implies a height from which to fall, a place of goodness once possessed and lost. Melkor never knew such innocence. The seeds of his ruin were sown in his very essence. From the beginning, he resented the limits placed upon him, that he could not give independent life, that the flame of creation remained forever with Eru alone. In that jealousy was born a hatred, not just for Eru, but for the act of creation itself. He could not make life, so he twisted it. He could not craft beauty, so he marred it. And so, from the music of the Ainur to the shaping of Arda, Melkor's hand was always the hand of corruption. When the world was made, he descended into it, the only one of the Valar to claim it for himself. And where others built, he defiled. The mountains they raised, he broke. The seas they calmed, he churned into storm. Even the light of the two lamps, he extinguished, plunging the world into its first age of darkness. From that darkness came the creatures that bore his mark, the Balrogs, once spirits of fire, now enslaved to shadow, and later the orcs, born of torture and mockery. Everything he touched was changed, twisted, ruined. Morgoth's evil was not ambition, it was desecration. His joy was in undoing what others loved, to see the stars dim, the forests wither, the hearts of the free corrupted by despair. He did not hunger for thrones or rings or kingdoms. He sought only the end of all things bright and whole. Even his obsession with the Silmarils, those sacred jewels forged by Feanor, was not born from desire of possession, but from hatred of what they represented. Light that he could not command, beauty beyond his reach. When he stole them, he did not preserve them as trophies. He defiled them, setting their holy light into his iron crown, a mockery of divine creation bound in the weight of his tyranny. Other dark lords seek control. Morgoth sought ruin. He did not want to rule Middle-earth, he wanted to break it. The orcs he bred were not soldiers of conquest, but living insults to the children of Iluvatar. The dragons he unleashed were not tools of strategy, but weapons of annihilation, born to burn, to desecrate, to unmake the very lands beneath their wings. His war was not for dominance, it was for negation. In every age, in every breath of wind, he sought to silence the song of creation itself. His evil was not local, nor mortal, nor even temporal. It was cosmic. For Morgoth did not simply corrupt the creatures of Arda, he corrupted Arda itself. In the first age, his malice became woven into the very fabric of the world. Every rock, every root, every gust of wind carried a trace of his will. The mountains bore his rage. The seas remembered his wrath. The very air was heavy with the residue of his despair. When he was finally overthrown and cast into the void, he was gone in form, but not in presence. His shadow remained, seeping through the ages, haunting the hearts of men, whispering to those who came after. Even Sauron, his mightiest servant, was but an echo of that first corruption. And this brings us to the question, if Morgoth was the source of evil, how do others compare? How does his darkness measure against the villains of other worlds and myths? Sauron, Darth Vader, Voldemort, and the Joker. Each embodies a form of evil, yet none reach the depth or the permanence of Morgoth Bauglir. Take Sauron, for instance, the Dark Lord most known as Middle-earth's ultimate evil. He was Morgoth's lieutenant, his greatest disciple, and his most faithful imitator. But imitation is all it was. Sauron's evil was orderly, calculated. He sought power, not destruction, dominion through design, not ruin for ruin's sake. He forged the One Ring not to unmake the world, but to control it. His ambition was tyranny, not annihilation. When you look upon Sauron's dark ambition, you see a fallen craftsman, one who believed that through control he could bring order to chaos. Morgoth, by contrast, hated order itself. He saw beauty and wished it gone. He saw life and wished it silent. Sauron threatened Middle-earth. Morgoth poisoned creation. The ring's corruption could be undone. The corruption of Arda itself could not. Now look to another world, a galaxy far, far away. Darth Vader, once Anakin Skywalker, began as a hero. His fall was tragic, born not from hatred, but from love twisted into fear. His evil was driven by the dread of loss, by the desperate will to save those he loved. In the end, he was redeemed by that same love. A soul torn between light and dark, capable of both mercy and cruelty. Vader's evil was the corruption of a man. Morgoth's evil was the corruption of creation itself. Where Anakin fell, Morgoth was born fallen. Where Vader's darkness ended in redemption, Morgoth's began in defiance and could end only in silence. Vader's redemption restores balance to one galaxy. Morgoth's ruin unbalanced an entire cosmos. Next comes Voldemort, Lord of the Dark Arts, the name that wizards dare not speak. His evil sprang from fear, fear of death, fear of weakness, fear of being forgotten. He split his soul into fragments, desperate to deny the inevitable. His cruelty was the child of insecurity, his power a shield against mortality. Yet Morgoth feared nothing. He could not die, and he did not seek eternity, for eternity was already his prison. Voldemort's evil was born of frailty, Morgoth's of jealousy. One acted from terror of the void, the other sought to drag all of creation into it. Voldemort's darkness ends with his death. Morgoth's will not die while the world endures. His corruption outlasted time itself.
And then, the last, the agent of chaos, the Joker, a mortal mind devoted to the destruction of meaning itself. He burns cities, not for gain, but to prove a point. that life is absurd, that order is a lie, that chaos is all that remains. His evil is purposeless, a flame that feeds on the moment. Yet even in his nihilism, there is something fleeting, human, temporary. Morgoth's destruction was not madness, it was will, purposeful, eternal. The Joker destroys for laughter's sake. Morgoth destroyed with the gravity of godhood. The Joker's chaos ends when he dies. Morgoth's continues through the bones of the earth. Sauron, Vader, Voldemort, Joker, all shadows of lesser worlds, echoes of mortal corruption. But Morgoth's darkness stands apart. His evil was not a story of power or rebellion or vengeance. It was the story of negation, the opposite of creation itself. He was the first discordant note in the music of the Ainur, a flaw that no age could erase. Even when his body was cast out of the world, his song lingered, staining the melody of all that followed. Pure evil, then, is not measured by cruelty or chaos. It is measured by permanence, by how deeply it wounds the world it touches. Morgoth's evil did not end with him. It lived on in every act of malice, every whisper of deceit, every war fought for greed or glory. His spirit became the shadow of reality itself.
Sauron sought to rule, Vader to save, Voldemort to survive, and the Joker to laugh. But Morgoth sought to unmake. He was not evil because he chose darkness. He was darkness, given thought and voice. No redemption, no empathy, no purpose but to see all that was good undone. And though he was chained and cast into the void beyond the stars, the echo of his hatred endures, in the fear that lives in every heart, in the corruption that creeps through every age. For Morgoth's greatest triumph was not his wars or his armies, but the whisper he left behind, the belief that destruction is stronger than creation. Yet even that, perhaps, was his final lie. For though he marred the world endures. Though he darkened the stars, they still shine. And in that light, faint but steadfast, we find the answer to the question we began with. Pure evil may scar creation, but it can never end it. If you enjoyed exploring the dark heart of Middle-earth, make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell, because here on the Arda Chronicles, the shadows run deep, and every legend hides another truth waiting to be told. Let us know in the comments what tale you'd like to see next. Another fallen power, a forgotten creature, or a secret chapter buried in Tolkien's lore.